Hi, I'm James Salvatore Manicotti. You can call me Jimmy Sal. How's you doing? I'm sitting in for Sly Stevens this week for the week that was in Crunch Football 2009. Let's get started. Here's a recap of week 2. Picking up where they left off, the Dolts continue their steamrolling ways by running over the Shroud Squad 130.6 to 101.2 on the legs of Chris Johnson, who scored 46.4 points. The squad's Dallas Clark put up 24.3 points on Monday night to help them get the second most points of the week. But you know what second place is. The first loser, the big lasagna. Sorry about that, fellas. In other divisional action, we have the Puckheads losing to the Great Scots, 88.6 to 69.4. Good thing for the Scots, Drew Brees is throwing TDs to Marcus Colston because the Scots running backs only scored a combined 10.1 points. Disappointing. Speaking of Drew Brees, it might be time to press the panic button on him. In the divisional matchup between the Jailbirds and the Bonner Blitz, Brees only threw for 3 TDs, just half of his week 1 total. This slippage cost the Jailbirds the week as the Blitz beat them 83 to 56. Andre Johnson was the bright spot, racking up 27 points for the Blitz. And speaking of losers, going from worst to first, saw last week's high-powered intruders make a critical coaching error. They benched Matt Schaub, who? In favor of Sean Hill. Who? Schaub's 30.2 points on the bench would have nearly doubled the intruder's total points. But in the Jackhammers' second game as a franchise, led by the attack of Marion Barber III, and at 21.5 points, they remain undefeated with a convincing divisional win of 79.2 to 43.1. In a battle of AFC quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers led the Iowa Rooks with his 26.8 points to beat the Goat Ropers, 92.1 to 83.5. Peyton Manning's 21.4 points just didn't do it. They couldn't make a difference for the winless Goats. Now to the game of the week. The divisional matchup between the 1-0 Army and the 0-1 Incredibles saw last week's stud AP, but this week he was downright gory, as in Frank Gore. Gore ran wild to rack up 36.6 points to help the Incredibles just edge out the Army 74.2 to 74.1 in the closest game in Crunch history. The Incredibles needed the performance from Gore because for the second straight week, their quarterback was knocked out of the game with a rib injury and the Dallas Cowboys defense scored nada. The big cannoli. Sorry about that, fellas. That'll wrap it up for this week's edition of This Week There Was 2. I'm Sal Manicotti, sitting in for Sly Stevens. Here's looking at yous.